What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Wolfcryer here, and welcome to aRPG Update. In this video series, we talk about what's going on in the world of action role-playing games. And in today's video, we are going to be talking about big patches for Last Epoch, Wolcen Lords of Mayhem, and Warhammer Chaosbane. So let's jump right into it with some Last Epoch news. First up, patch 0.73 was supposed to go live today, Friday, September 27th, and unfortunately this will be delayed until tomorrow due to some unforeseen issues, but this is part of the team's first phase in their early access development forecast. This will include the addition of Chapter 6 to the game, which I can't wait to jump into and see what this team has been up to as far as the upcoming chapter. It will also include 7 new skill specialization trees: Forge Strike, Frenzy Totem, Ring of Shields, Soul Feast, Spriggan Form, Summon Scorpion, and Tempest Strike will all be getting their own individual skill spec trees. In addition to that, they are revamping the Summon Skeleton ability for their Necromancer, and instead of the Summon Skeletal Mage being a portion of that skill on the skill tree, it will now become its own separate skill, and both of these, Summon Skeleton and Summon Skeleton Mage, will both have their own individual skill trees, and these will also both be in patch 0.73 once it goes live. Now, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about with these skill spec trees, each skill in Last Epoch will have their own individual passive tree. And you can spend points in those passive trees to change up how the skill works and add damage and that sort of thing. So it's a very cool system that I think combines pretty much the gem system and passive tree system for Path of Exile, as well as the rune system for Diablo 3. It's kind of a nice little mix of all of that together because you work on your individual skills. They also have their own passive tree for each individual class, but I really enjoy how this game does their skills and their skill specialization trees. This patch will also introduce a new player whisper system, which will allow you to whisper other players using various commands, and will also have updated login and load screens, which is pretty cool because I think the load screens and the login screen are rather outdated compared to what this game has become, and hopefully these look pretty cool. I can't wait to see this patch once it does go live. They've also added 4 new unique items for players to find, and that will be pretty awesome as well. Some of these have not been revealed, so it will actually not be able to be known about until somebody actually finds one. And I think that's pretty cool to keep a little mystery around some of these uniques and not reveal it all in the patch notes. I think that's pretty awesome. I'm personally looking forward to Last Epoch. They do still tentatively plan on releasing the game in April of 2020. And at the rate this is going, it does look like they are progressing rather well, so hopefully they can keep that date. But now let's jump on to Wolcen Lords of Mayhem, which just released a very big patch, and this includes their Wrath of Ceresay content update with a pretty big list of changes within the patch notes. This patch, as I said, brings the all-new Wrath of Ceresay content to its endgame system, and this content is designed with co-op in mind and offers up new affixes, which include the ability to cast specific spells, as well as individual passive attributes that can only be obtained through this system. I'm not entirely sure how that's going to play out, but I'm a co-op player for the most part anyway, so for me it doesn't matter. But I know that there are some players out there who would much prefer that all of this would be available to all of its players, whether you play co-op or solo. But they will also be adding altars, which will include various shrines, and cursed chests, which you kill some enemies when they spawn and you get some loot. And not only that, but they are also reducing the game size by 3 gigs. Hopefully this will help in the reduction of load times, especially the start screen and the login screen. This can be an exceptional long load time, and hopefully this addresses that and brings those load times down to acceptable levels. Now, there will also be tons of balance changes to the bosses, including the Act 1 boss, which is pretty cool because I really enjoyed the boss fights in this game. I liked the mechanics, but I did think that they dragged on a little bit too long. They will be lowering the health pool of these bosses, so hopefully that makes it still interesting, but less time consuming, because I do think these boss fights were a bit too long. There will also be 5 brand new skills, each with several modifiers, allowing for build variants using their skill passive system. So it's good to see that they're adding some skills. I think the skills were pretty limited, and there will also be 12 new unique items added, as well as some minor visual changes and overall gameplay changes. And we'll go ahead and wrap things up with some Warhammer Chaosbane news. They have just released their patch 1.08, which no one is really playing. Surprise, surprise. Last I checked, there were 75 average players on Steam for this game, and you'd think after a big patch such as this that there would be more players, but unfortunately I think a lot of people burned out on its utter lack of content. Now, this patch did add the new legendary ranking system, which is similar to Paragon in Diablo 3. It's a way to level once you're done leveling. Once you reach the level cap of 50, you can keep leveling and adding points and distributing them into its own legendary ranking system, where you pretty much get a set of proccable bonuses for the most part, and you can spend points into the percent to proc it, or the percent strength of that bonus. There will be some class balance changes across the board, and they are also adding a secondary god skill tree for season pass owners, which means there will be exclusive skills, passive and active, that will only be available for the low price of $20, which is pretty much what the entire game is worth. As a season pass owner myself, I am still pretty appalled with this. There's not really a need to put skills and passives behind a paywall in a game such as this, especially, as I said, there's not enough content as is. It's not a $50 game like they're charging, and unfortunately, now there's even more stuff that's in the game that isn't available to those people that paid for the base game. To me, that just doesn't make any sense. They are also adding minor changes to monster behavior, which they are dubbing new monster skills, which I guess runs away when hit is now a skill, ladies and gentlemen. And there's also an overhaul of the blessing system overall, and I guess that will match up across all characters, so everything will be the same within the blessing system. You'll also be able to see the result before you craft onto a piece of gear. So that's pretty cool, actually. That is a good update right there. But there is no new content, no new enemies, no new locations. And to me, that's exactly what this game needs. It needs more content, especially if they want to justify its $50 price point with $20 season pass. To date, this game just continues to disappoint me. Their announcements disappoint me. Their Twitter feed disappoints me. I was so looking forward to this game. I was so enthralled by it during its beta, and it had a very good chance of becoming a great game. But unfortunately, it is definitely not there yet, and it just looks like they threw this together, put it out there, and tried to make a quick buck. And as you can see by the Steam stats, nobody is really playing this game, even after such a big patch as this. I think the peak hour on Steam was 125 players after this patch was launched. And that's just crazy. Hopefully someday in the future, Warhammer Chaosbane brings it in line and actually does become the game that we all wished it was, and the game that it deserves to be, because I think overall they have a very solid base. It just needs to be built upon and expanded to the point where there's content, where there's stuff to do and reasons to do it. And they just need to overhaul some systems. They need to add in more maps. They need to add in more enemies, they need to add in more skills, and they need to redo the dialogue overall during the story. And it's just stuff like that that needs to happen. I do hope that Warhammer Chaosbane succeeds at some point. I do not wish it that much ill will where I don't want them to be able to turn it around, but if they're unwilling to turn it around, that should tell you a lot about the company. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for listening to me rant about Warhammer Chaosbane and talk about the patches that were released in these 3 games. I do enjoy making these aRPG update videos. If you like them, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and let me know down in that comment section down below whether you like this type of video or not, and what upcoming action role-playing game or current role-playing game are you currently interested in. But all right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much once again, and you all have a fantastic day. Peace.